Hey everybody, welcome to part 3 of Webflow for Front-End Devs. I'm John Osler, CEO founder of Unicorn Road. We do a lot of Webflow and we have to train up a lot of folks on how to use Webflow who are front-end developers. So I thought, let's put this together so we can share it with you guys and hopefully speed up your workflows a little bit. So in part 3, we're going to be talking about rich text. And rich text, you can think of it as like Markdown. It's basically a block with nested children elements in it. And usually what it's used for is for on a blog detail page or within a section of a page where you want to give the editor of the content, someone who's a little bit less technical, the ability to add inline images or do unordered lists and things like that. So let's dive into the interface and have a look at like what this looks like. So again, you're going to add it through this add menu, the add elements menu, and it's right down here in typography. And so I've inserted one already here. And you'll see as I mouse through it, there's a H2, a header 2, followed by a paragraph, followed by a header 4. And if I want to add to this, whether I'm a creator or an editor, so this can be within the designer and the editor side, if I just double click and hit return, this little insert plus icon is going to show up. And if I hit that, this is where I can add some of those inline or block elements. So let's say I want to do an unordered list. I can add those bullets here, and you can imagine that, for a blog or a section, it's pretty useful to have that. So this is where I think it gets a little bit tricky and where we felt like we were fumbling a bit when we first got in the system. So when we click on, let's say, a paragraph, and we've decided we do want to affect what this paragraph looks like. When you select all paragraphs and do the styling on this, what's going to happen is you're globally going to affect all paragraphs in the system, which if you're doing if you have a design system that's really tight, that's probably fine. But in most cases, I think we've seen that blogs, a lot of times the design of a blog looks a bit better when you bump up the font specific to that blog. But it could also be the case that if you're just adding one of these into a section, there's almost always going to be some differences in terms of either padding or layout. So there's another way. So effectively what you need to do is select the block, the rich text block, the container element, and give it a class. Now we're going to call this one rich text. I've already started the class here just in preparation. And so now that I've done that, I can go back to my paragraph tag. And if I add this HTML tag for all paragraphs, there's this additional line that shows up, which is kind of tricky and hidden, which is nest selector inside of rich text. So I'm going to click that. And effectively what it's going to do now is say, hey, every time there's a paragraph within the rich text blocks, follow this formatting. So maybe we might say, and this isn't maybe totally the best example, but you can effectively say how now it's going to affect everything that is nested inside a rich text element. So one thing that's kind of interesting about this is the only case that we've seen where you can select a child element within a block within Webflow. Everything else, if you're watching these tutorials through, you realize that you're effectively putting the class right on the element itself. If you add a paragraph, you need to add the class to that. You can't say, oh, in this div, all these paragraphs style in a certain way. But with rich text, you can do it, and it's this way. So you can start to think about rich text as a little bit more of a powerful organism if you're wanting to do a little bit more of that nested selecting. So I'll just do some more here just real quick. Put some rems going and see what that looks like. So that's effectively how you do it. And like I said, when you double click or when the content editor double clicks, then they can of course add the elements and affect them as such. So that's a mini lesson there. Hopefully you got something out of it. The key here is putting a class on the parent container, and then you can select all the child elements, and that's the best way to go. Hopefully you like this one. I wanted to keep it kind of short because rich text is its own little beast, and obviously Webflow has good tutorials for how these things work, but I think when you're in this kind of front-end developer mindset, and you're looking for those child selectors, you're like, wait a second, like how am I doing this? So hopefully that's helpful. If it wasn't helpful, if I was missing something that you thought was pretty cool, definitely leave it in the comments. A like and a subscribe is always welcome. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.